Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. The last time we had a walk around the garden was about 5 weeks ago, so I thought I'd do another one so that you could see progress. First thing you'll notice is shade. Now what I'm going to do is there'll be an info card coming up almost immediately, which is the video from 5 weeks ago. So if you want to go and watch that first, then come back to this one and then you can do the direct comparison. It's not a long video, so info card now. Right, if you've been away, welcome back, and we'll have a walk. And the first thing that's different is you can't see the garden from here anymore. We'll find out why in a minute. And the first bush we looked at was this one that was just coming out at the time. Well, growth is massive in that period, and I mean massive as well. Now all of these shrubs here have bushed up, they've greened up a bit. I've decided that this year I'm not really going to do any dramatic pruning until the autumn. I want to see what stuff does in a growing season to get an idea of how hard it might be able to be cut back or not, and get an outline shape. So the first massive difference is what was a couple of bare sticks called a Wisteria is now absolutely taken over that evergreen hedge and lit up in the sunshine is almost to the top of the tree. Now that was invisible. It was invisible because it was just bare sticks. Now the leaves have come out. It's absolutely huge, to say the least. The birds are getting annoyed because I'm in the way of the bird feeder. I found that little shelf to put a couple of the bonsai on to get them up off the ground. Basically I'm going to have to get some proper stands. If I'm going to do the bonsai, they need to be presented well, which at the moment they're not really. That used to be round the other house on the end of the dining room table, and I used to have things like my phalaenopsis on there so that they were in the house but right next to the grow room so that they still got good light. So that's where that came from, and it was just sat in the shed doing nothing. So I thought, well, that's a couple up off the ground. That's all that's for. Success. One of the foxgloves has made it. So that tub has got a genuine foxglove in it. And over the back there, there's another two, or another one with a branch. So we're going to have foxgloves. And I will collect seed from those and scatter them around in amongst here, because they like shade. They like their heads in the sunshine, or some sunshine, but they like cooler and damper near their roots. So they're a woodland plant really. So if I scatter some seeds in around here, we might get some going. You never know. And then I've utilised the bench here. That's my Deshojo that needs a trim. It's losing its shape again. It's lost all its layers. It's another lost bonsai. Where has my bonsai gone? You'll be pleased to know, although this isn't strictly a bonsai video, that the Japanese larch are shooting out. Well, let's put it this way, at least two of them are. The third one I'm not so sure. So we at least have one or two to work with, so they didn't die after all. This collected Scots pine I'm not expecting to do anything for a while. It's got to get some roots going first. This collected pine over here doesn't look happy. There's some dieback going on here. So what I'm watching is, these are old needles obviously, is the growth on the top to see if it's actually moving or not, because if these candles are extending then the sap's getting through. So just because some of the older needles are being dropped, it might be dumping those because it hasn't got a good enough root system, but it may still grow on, who knows. Anyway, coming round here we have little oak trees coming up everywhere. I wonder why that is. Giant oak tree. But they're everywhere, including some quite nice trees. They'll all have to come out. I mean, there's no way I want a giant oak tree in the middle of the garden. I don't think the landlord would be very pleased. Anyway, a lot of growth here, so that's good. And then we have this has popped up. Now, I don't know what that is, but it looks a bit like alder, or possibly aspen. But anyway, it's a tree, and it shouldn't really be there, but it's not doing any harm. So obviously that was hiding as just a stick at some point. These are hebes, and they are hebes that are about to flower. Now, butterflies and bees love those, so that's good. My maple is looking good. That's a lovely tree. And this squared off bush that is now sprouting out all over the place. I'm going to keep these areas low. Otherwise, from inside the house, I don't get to see the whole garden. Coming up in here is a rose. Well, not just a rose, it's a rose covered in buds. So we're going to have some roses just outside the grow room. That would be nice. Ivy everywhere, which I really could do without. Now, over here, the camellia, the white camellia, was not very successful. Some of the blooms did open okay. A lot of them got frosted, and the blooms are dying off now, so it's had its day. Spiky bush here is coming into bloom. Again, bees love that. And you remember I pointed out a stick that I said was an ash tree? Well, it is an ash tree. The rate of growth is quite a lot. Again, I can't let that get tall because of the rate of growth. If I let it get tall, then I won't be able to prune it. This has gone mad and has got to come down, but I'm 50-60% certain the blackbird nested in there. So I'm going to, again, we'll leave it till the autumn, but look at the amount of growth on it. This is ridiculous. This is new growth from that point back there. Just this year, and we're only in May. So that's coming off down there. That's coming off to a stump. And then each year it'll get cut back to that stump. I'm not having a huge blinking laurel like that. The wisteria is out. Again, we've got lots of growth along the fence. Well, that can be encouraged along the fence and hanging down. That'll look nice, so we'll keep that going. It's trying to get along there, and it's succeeding, so we'll encourage that. With this out of the way, we'll be able to see what's round the corner, which is the rest of the wisteria. Now, it is starting to go over now. And then we have another laurel here, which will get cut down almost to the ground. Not having that stuff going mad. This is my little Japanese cherry tree that blooms on the bare twigs in the spring, sort of February time, February, March. So I've put this round here to get as much growth as possible on it, because it will grow a lot better if it doesn't get burnt by the sun. So it does get some sun there, but not a lot. I got this to cover up that horrible aluminium washing line, because green looks better than aluminium. Then we've got our bamboo. In amongst the bamboo, unfortunately, we have some brambles. And they're difficult to get rid of. But I'm sort of looking at it along the lines now, that if the bush is buried in there somewhere, and it comes out over the top and has blossom, and then has blackberries on it, then it can be cut back after it fruits, and it will come again the next year. This green thing here is going to be cut right away from that maple, so that I've got a nice red maple tree there that's got room to move. So that's coming on. Again, spiky bush coming into bloom. That's buzzing with the bees when it's in the sunshine, so that's nice. The rosemary has finished blooming now. That needs a good trim, otherwise it will get leggy. And then, yeah, so lots of growth everywhere. Not quite sure what this is. It's just shot up out of nowhere. And this is this purple blossom here that runs right through and out the other side. That, I believe, that's a Californian lavender, I think that is. And then all this new growth down here is a type of honeysuckle. Well, looking at the sticks that we did last time, I think it's a type of honeysuckle. Time will tell, because if it is a honeysuckle, it'll bloom, and then we'll definitely know. So, there we go. that's it as it stands at the moment. But the amount of growth on that Wisteria is phenomenal. And if that's one season, I think we do need to do some heavy pruning in the autumn, because that shoots out in the spring and then blooms. So that type of Wisteria can be cut really hard back. It could be cut back almost to the ground and it would still grow, because it shoots out in the spring, then it blooms. So you can cut it quite hard back. And I will be, and the evergreen hedge underneath it that's supporting it will get a nice rounded shape to that lot. So that'll be good. Yeah, so that's as it is at the moment. We've got our rose bush with some roses to look forward to. Oh, actually, I was going to say over here there was another rose. There's another one of these trees, whatever this is. There's another one. There's two. And tucked in here is another rose. There we go. And also tucked in there is another tree, which, looking at the leaves, is a sycamore, which we probably want to get rid of, because they can grow 5 or 6 foot in a year, and then suddenly you've got a massive tree in your garden. But yeah, we have another rose in there, which I'll recover that, because I think that's been planted next to the base of this bush. Well, the rose is probably more important than the bush, bearing in mind there's another one there, you know. So this one can be cut hard, low down, so that the rose can come up over the top. Something like that. Yeah, if you look at that Wisteria, this was just the bare trunk here. Look at the amount of growth that's come out of that. So if I'd cut that Wisteria off at the top of the fence, we'd still have all this. It's pretty good growing. And as I said, I'm gonna try and make some proper stands for some of my bonsai, which will consist of a round post with a square of wood on the bottom and a square of wood on the top, so that it can stand, you know, be firm on the ground and not blow over. And I'll probably paint them dark grey or black so that they just sort of blend into the shadows, leaving the pot and the tree prominent on the top. Just for my better trees, not for every single one. But 3 or 4 making a feature of them might look quite nice in the garden. So there we go, walk around the garden early in the morning, and now I'll say it, although it might not happen. I'm seriously thinking of going out and doing an orchid, you know, native orchid search and find, and clambering up hills and probably getting totally exhausted and have backache and leg ache all day tomorrow. But I'm thinking of going out, and that will be a combination of butterflies and orchids. Birdsong in this area is gorgeous. That's a chaffinch, that one. There was a wren just now and a robin. But the chaffinch has a pretty little song, but that's the robin. That's the chaffinch. It's a pretty little song, but that's all it ever does, and it repeats over and over again, whereas the robin has lots of little phrases. And that loud noise is a wren. That's our tiniest bird. Believe it or not. Tiniest bird with the biggest mouth. Yeah. But the robin is just above my head. It's getting annoyed because it can't get to the feeder. So we'll leave it at that. We'll have another look round sort of July time and see if we've still got any garden left or if it's all grown over. And yeah, we'll keep our eye on it this season and not go too mad cutting things back. And there'll be very little actual gardening to do, because I don't think I'm going to have many places to plant things. But I will put some colour in some tubs. And oh, there's the robin on my chair by the bonsai. And I will get some colour in some tubs. I mean, the frost, probably finished with the frost now, so I could do it any time. And I've still got a buddleia to get, which I was given some money for, specifically for the butterflies. Butterflies so far this year, we have had brimstone, which is a pale yellow butterfly, one of the earliest, and an orange tip. Again, very early spring butterflies, those two. We've had a small white, we've had holly blues, quite a few, red admiral, small tortoise shell, and comma. Now those are the ones I've seen. Many of those were just transient. They just sort of came into the garden, flew round a bit and flew off again. But yeah, it's a reasonable assortment for a garden. There may be more as the year goes on. But if I don't get any blooms to attract them in or to keep them here for a while, then they'll just fly in and fly out again because there's nothing to hold them. So do some work on that, and I'll see you next time.